Okay, you guys, hello, welcome back to my channel. I just filmed this video for TikTok, but now I have to refilm it for you guys. So if I'm out of breath, I'm sorry. I am challenging myself to read all the books that are on my physical TBR on my bookshelf. I have to read them, okay? I'm tired of buying new books. Haven't even read the books I have. They're just staring at me like, hello, please read me. I'm sitting here getting dust. Like, they actually smell like dust. Let me make a disclaimer. I probably will still buy books. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. I'm gonna try not to. If I do get a book, it will probably be for like my birthday or Christmas, which other people will be buying. I'm gonna try not to buy books myself, but if I do, then I just do. Also, I am allowing myself to DNF. If I genuinely feel like I don't like one of these books, I'm not gonna force myself to read it. Like, I'm just not. So if I don't like any of these books, I will DNF. I do have a few books on my bookshelf that I'm excluding from this for good reason. Like, some of the books are like self-help books. I don't want to include that. Some books are, oh, I have the Twilight series. I'll read that when I feel like reading it. And then I think that's pretty much it. I think that's all I excluded. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump in. First up, we have Home is Where the Bodies Are by Geneva Rose. I grabbed this because Barnes & Noble was having a 50% off sale on hardcovers, and so I was like, why not? So these next few are why I got them. All right, we have The Night. Also, by the way, guys, any of these books, if you've read them, please let me know how you like them in the comments so I can boost it up on my next to be read, because honestly, I don't even know where to start. I don't even know where to start. I'm overwhelmed. What? You want Spider? And why does my daughter love Spidey right now? All she wants to do is watch Spider-Man. Okay, so we have The Night We Lost Him by Laura Dave. Again, don't know much about this book. I just saw it. It was a hardcover and I got it. Next up, we have Such Charming Liars. I believe well, as far as I know from my experience, Kara M. McManus writes very like YA high school type books, because I read One of Us is Lying, One of Us is Next, One of Us is Back. I don't know if I read One of Us is Back, but I read the other two. And they're very high school, but I love them. Like, I don't care. I like YA. So I'm sure this will be the same vibe, but they're fun reads. Next up, I have The Couple Next Door. I actually got this out of a little free library. It is a thriller book for if I remember correctly. The font is pretty big compared to most books. And it's not that long of a book, so I'm gonna probably push this up. Honestly, I'm gonna try to get the shorter books done faster. These next two are classics. To Kill a Mockingbird. You can see I did start it. I'm not very far in. I read this in like 8th grade in class. And yeah, it's like a tough topic. I don't fully remember what it's about to be able to sit here and explain it to you guys, but it is about a black man. Huh? More what? You got, oh, Tootie, don't make a mess with me. Anyway, sorry about that. It is about a black man who gets wrongly accused of the grapefruit, you know? Y'all know what I mean. Y'all know what I mean. Read a summary of it. Next up, we have Pride and Prejudice. I hear so many romance books referring to Pride and Prejudice and Mr. Darcy, and so I was like, I just want to read Pride and Prejudice, and I want to know who Mr. Darcy is, and if I like Mr. Darcy. What? More what? More what? What? This? Oh, ice? You want more ice? One thing I will say about this book, though, it's very hard to read. I have started this book a good 2 or 3 times. I just can't get into it yet because of the language. It was written in like 1782. I don't know if that's the actual year, but it was written so long ago. What, Mama? Sorry for her in the background. But it was written so long ago, and you can tell by the language that it was written so long ago. And so it's hard for me to get into it, but I'm going to keep trying. I'm not going to DNF yet. I'm not giving up on it, but it's very hard. I have to like sit down and like really focus, and I have 3 kids. I can't just sit down and really focus except at night, but then when I read at night, I fall asleep. So yeah. Next up, we have The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. And the only reason I haven't read this one yet is because I'm not emotionally ready. Whenever I read really, really sad romance books or thrillers or anything like that, I get so much anxiety to the point where I get physically sick and nauseous. And I don't want to do that to myself. I don't like feeling that way. So that's the only reason I haven't read this yet. But I do want to, because so many people rave about Kristen Hanna. And I'm like, I want to feel that too, but I'm scared. I'm really scared. Okay. And then we have The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. What? The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I heard so much about this book. People do love it. It's just very boring to me. I have tried to read this book one time. Softy enough. I am going to come back to it, but it was very boring. I don't think I got that far along into it though. I probably shouldn't have judged it so soon, but we're gonna try it again. I got The Cheerleaders by Kara Thomas. I found this one on Amazon. It was on sale for only like $1.50 or like, it was like $1.99. And so I just got it. I have no clue what it's about. I'm pretty sure it's like a high school thriller type vibe. Same like as the Karen and McManus. I need to slow down. Slow down here. Let's talk. Next up, I have Flock. And when I first bought this book, I had no clue what it was about. It was just in the, what was it called? Like 18 plus romance. I was like, okay, yeah, 18 plus. I'm 18 plus, so I just grabbed it. Something happened. What happened? But after hearing about it more on social media, my dog is smacking on some ice. After hearing about it more on social media, it might be a little too spicy for me, which is why I haven't read it yet, because I don't really like too spicy. That's why I haven't read dark romance, because I'm like, I don't know. Like I tried to read Lights Out. Actually, I tried to listen to Lights Out audiobook. I was on like chapter 3 and I was like, y'all haven't even done anything yet. He's just talking about her. And I was like, oh my God, Lord. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I have Wild Love by Elsie Silver. Oh, come here, baby. Next up, we have Wild Love by Elsie Silver. I do actually want to read this book. I am looking forward to this book. I was supposed to read it in February because I was trying to read pink books for Valentine's Day. Just never got around to reading it. No complaints. Don't really know fully what it's about. I just know it's romance. So I've never read Elsie Silver, I don't think. So I would like to read that soon. Next up, we have Magnolia Parks. I know the girlies love Magnolia Parks, okay? And Daisy hates. And I don't know if there's anyone else, but I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I have read this book 3 times. I haven't read the book 3 times. I've started the book 3 times, maybe even 4. I don't know what it is. Honestly, I think it's just a very slow start. I haven't given up on it yet, but it was very slow to the point where I was just like, okay, on to the next book. Like, I don't feel like reading this right now, but I will get to it. Everyone loves this book so much. I love Gossip Girl, so it's like, I want to love this book, but I just can't get into it. But we're gonna try again. I'm for sure gonna try again. Next up, we have Say Yes by Lucia Franco. I don't know much about this book either. I'm just gonna keep saying that about every single book. I don't know anything about this book. I just have the book. It's not a long book, so it'll probably be one of the first ones I open. Next up, we have Things We Never Got Over. This will probably be one of the last ones I open because that's really big. Mixed reviews on this one as well. Is this YA or no? Anyway, yeah, it's a really big book, so I don't know if I'm gonna read it yet. Y'all let me know how y'all felt about it if you read it. 1,000 Boy Kisses. I think this one is high school based, I think. I don't really know. Again, I'm not against high school romance books. Cool. As long as it's not like super, why do they do that with the stickers? As long as it's not like super like spicy in a high school romance, like that's kind of weird, but yeah. Dang, that book is dusty. I've had this book for a long time. That's crazy. All right, next up we have Tell Me Lies, and yes, I bought it like that. I don't know why I didn't look at the book before putting it in my basket, but it looks fun from the cover. I like the cover. I just don't know if it's romance or thriller, or is it both, or is it sad? Is this gonna make me cry? It probably won't make me cry. But also, I see here, and they got the sticker on there again, the sticker you can't take off. But I do see that it is a Hulu series, so I think that would be fun to be able to read this book and then go watch the series on Hulu. So I do want to read that soon as well. Long Shot by Kennedy Ryan. I read Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. Loved it. It was my first Kennedy Ryan book. So I am looking forward to this one. This one I hear is a little bit tougher than that one in different aspects. And I feel like it's going to, I don't want to hit close to home because I am in a happily married. But some situations, anyway, I'm a little scared to read that one. I think I'm going to cry a lot. Speaking of crying a lot, we have The Last Letter and Say You Swear. Haven't read these because I'm scared to be emotionally destroyed. It's like I want to cry. I want a book to make me cry because that means I'm feeling something and it made me feel emotions. That's good. But I don't want to be sick. Like I want to cry but not be sick. I want to read the book and love it, but then I want to get over it. Like I don't want it to stick with me for too long. All right, we'll see about that. Next up, I have 5 Survive. I think this book was also one of the ones that was on sale on Amazon for like $1.99. So these are like used secondhand books, but it's pretty good condition. Oh, my light just went dead. Sorry about that. But yeah, it's also from Holly Jackson, who wrote A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, which I haven't gotten into it yet. It's in my stack, but we'll get to that. But anyway, 5 Survive. I actually have started this. I haven't finished it. I'm only like I would say like this much in. I don't know why I always start a book and then if it doesn't catch my attention within the first like 50 pages, I go on to the next book, which is probably not the best thing to do. But what? Are you okay? No. Two, we don't yell at mama like that, okay? Back into it. I have A Harmless Lie by Sarah Bladel, I think. I haven't read anything from this author, but it is supposed to be like a dark, emotional thriller. So, let's see about that. Again, don't know anything about the book. This book is really small and it looks interesting, so I probably will be reading this actually like today. Like, this is probably what I'm gonna read right now. This is The Island by Natasha Preston. I just really grab books from the Barnes & Noble. If the cover looks good, I judge books by its cover. Yeah, so I just grabbed this because of the cover, but also the blurb on the back seemed interesting too. So we're gonna read that. The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley, again, on Amazon for sale. This one isn't the best quality, but still a book. It does seem interesting. I am looking forward to reading this one. If you guys know anything about it, let me know. I haven't heard people talk about it, so I don't know. Then She Was Gone. I hear this so much on Book Talk. This is another one of the books that I've tried to read and I just stopped reading. I've tried like two or three times to read this book and I don't know what it is. It's just really boring. I don't know. It's really boring, but I'm gonna try to read it because I feel like that's the thing with me. It's like when I'm reading a book, like I hate starting a new book, but I love to read the books. And then when I finish a book, I'm like, no, I don't want it to end. But also, I do want it to end because I want to be able to say that I read, you know, I finished another book and put it on my Goodreads. But then I'm like, now I got to start a new book. Like starting a book is so draining because you have to sit there and like let the story build and meet new characters. And it's a very slow start for a lot of books, not all, but a lot. So it's just very like, ugh. But anyway, we have The Housemaid is Watching. I read the first two Housemaids, obviously. The first Housemaid, I liked it. It was cool. It was very similar to another book I read, so I didn't like that. But if I read The Housemaid before I read that other book, I probably would have loved it. The Housemaid's Secret. I actually read The Housemaid's Secret before I read The Housemaid, but that's neither here nor there. It was okay. It didn't move me too much. I didn't really care for it, but it was okay. So I haven't really had any desire to read this book. But again, it's on my shelf and I'm trying to read the books on my shelf. So we're gonna try to read it. Hopefully I like it. I don't even know what it's about. I heard it's about a lot of watching, as it says in the title. She's watching out of a window all like throughout the whole book is what I read. I don't know, but we'll see. Next up, I have the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. So I read the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder months and months and months ago. Don't know why I haven't read these yet because I did like the book, but I just haven't read these yet. So A Good Girl, Bad Blood, and As Good as Dead. I heard that, which one? I heard this one's really fun because it's like a podcast vibe, which I would love. This one, I don't know what it's about, honestly, but we're going to get into which one's the first one, or the second one? Which one's the second one? This one, right? Yeah, I think this one. Yeah, the sequel. Okay, so that one's first. Okay. Next up, my mom bought me a bunch of Colleen Hoover, like just a bundle of Colleen Hoover books. And I love Colleen Hoover, but I just have no desire to read these. We have Regretting You and All Your Perfects. The very first books I read a few years ago when I first started reading again was Colleen Hoover, It Ends With Us, and then Frida McFadden. Was it The Housemaid or was it One by One? It was one of those. And actually, no, it was not The Housemaid. It was the Wife Between Us, which is like The Housemaid. But anyway, the very, very first book that I remember reading when I first started reading again was Colleen Hoover, It Ends With Us, of course. I feel like that's everybody's, at least if you recently started reading. And so I have nothing against Colleen Hoover, but it seems very like Colleen Hoover and Frida McFadden are two authors where I feel like if I read them now, since I'm like more developed in my reading taste and I know what to look for and like, you know, I have a good amount of books under my belt now versus like it being my first book. I feel like if I read it now, I'd be like, I don't really care. Like that gave me nothing, that had no substance, or like the writing wasn't great or whatever. And because Colleen Hoover was my first book that I read as an adult, I'm scared to not like her. So I haven't read these because I'm scared I'm not gonna like them because people talk so bad about Colleen Hoover and I'm like, well, maybe I was just blinded because it was my first few books, you know? And I thought Colleen Hoover was great because I didn't know better. And so now I'm scared to read these. because I came to that conclusion about Freedom McFadden. I'm like, her writing is really not that great. I don't know why we're overhyping her, but I'm not a huge fan of Freedom. Sorry. Last two that we have are fantasy books. I haven't read these. These are the only two fantasy books I have. I've never read a fantasy book before, and I'm scared to, because I don't think Twilight's fantasy, right? Is it? Is Twilight fantasy? If Twilight's fantasy, then I have read fantasy. But I've never read like dragons and mythical, whatever the stuff is about. I don't really know, honestly. But we have A Court of Thorns and Roses. I believe this is the first book, I hope. And then we have The Assassin's Blade, which I looked it up, and it says this is the prequel. So it's not technically the very first book. I don't even think I really need to read this. So I might go and get whatever the actual first book to this is. Let me see. The Throne of Glass. Throne of Glass. I might go and get Throne of Glass instead of this. I heard Throne of Glass is actually a good book. I heard this one is like, you don't really need to read it. So I don't want to try to read fantasy and start with this and be like, oh, I don't like fantasy because I don't like this book. But yeah, I think that's like 31 books on my physical TBR that I still need to read. I will update you guys like, I don't know, every 2 to 4 weeks based on, hey, it's a lot going on. Y'all see, January I read 17 books. Okay, February I read 10, but I won't say I cheated because the audiobooks do count as reading, okay? But a lot of the books I read in February were audiobooks because I've been in the car a lot, or I've been cleaning, and like I just listen to an audiobook while I'm doing those things. I hardly watch TV anymore, so it's like, I feel like this is 31 books. I feel like I can finish this in 2 or 3 months. Hang on, my grandma's calling me. Why am I so busy? So these are the, I think, 31 books that I need to read, hopefully within the next few months. I don't know. I'm a mood reader, so I'm just gonna be picking these at random. So yeah, you could subscribe if you would like to follow along, see how I like these books. If you've read any of them, let me know in the comments. Let me know which one I should read first. And yeah, I'll see you guys whenever I give you the update or in my next video.